Working on this 1967 Mustang. A couple things we did. Placed the gas tank in the back. That was a couple months ago we did that. Today we changed the diff fluid. It was real nasty, put new diff fluid in. Can't tell by the picture there, but replaced this vent too for the axle. That was all dry rotted and cracked, broken in half. Put a bunch of air in all the, we put air in all the tires. Gonna retorque all the lug nuts because they were all loose. And then we're gonna fix the fuel sending unit. We're just going over some stuff and taking a look at it. But we noticed these ball joints are really loose. So my assistant here is gonna grab the wheel once he gets off his cell phone. And then go to move it. Look at the bottom ball joint. I don't know if that video's picking that up or not. Do it again. Okay, now do the other side. Yeah, you can see that one too. So this thing needs lower ball joints, but I would do all ball joints, upper and lowers, all the suspension parts, and go from there. All right, so another thing we did is this oil pan was leaking a little bit of oil. We tightened that plug up. It was actually fairly loose. So just like I said, this thing definitely needs ball joints. Also do tie rod ends, all that, and get alignment. Eventually needs to be gone through. Now we're going to go ahead and give it another overview underneath, and then we'll bring her down and take a look at the fuel sending unit. So it's a one wire sending unit right there, which is, that's all new, the sending unit. We're gonna have to go up to the instrument cluster and trace it down and see why it's not reading correctly. Alrighty, so now we're looking at the fuel sending unit. It's got a brand new fuel sending unit in it, which is good. What I want to show you is that wire there. That's your wire coming from the front of the vehicle to the instrument cluster. I'm just using a regular test light, grounding it there. And then this light should strobe. It means it's getting an electrical signal. Once I get a good connection here. There. That's a good thing. It means it's sending the electrical signal. Key on, engine off. That tells me my wire integrity is good. If it wasn't strobing, I'd have a open in the wire, a short to ground, short to voltage. It tells me all that stuff's good. Sending unit's good. It's looking like it's the instrument cluster gauge unit, so we'd probably have to test that and get a new one of those on order. So I'm going to show you the voltage. I got my power probe out here. I'm going to do the same thing. You can see it. No one about the test light there. That's just a test light. But there's your voltage. Shut this audible tone off. So that was light in the test light. That's why it's flashing. But if you look, 0 to like 3 volts, 2.7. I mean, it changes, right? So that means that wire integrity is good. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the actual gauge. But I believe the wiring's good, so we'll take a look at the gauge in the instrument cluster. All right, so just show you inside the car here. The gauge there shows about a quarter tank. It's hard to tell with the light, with no light. But when we took our power probe down here, and this thing's unhooked, you see obviously I got voltage. If this camera's picking it up or not. Yeah, we got voltage there. So that's the signal from the voltage regulator on the instrument cluster. It's telling me it works correctly. So now what we're going to do is take a wire, a jumper wire. Actually, we're not going to use a jumper wire. We're just going to use a power probe. If you didn't have a power probe, you could use a jumper wire. You want to ground this to basically, you're going to go like this. You're going to ground this and take it to ground and see if the fuel gauge moves to full. If it does, it means the gauge is working correctly. So I'll have my assistant do that. He's going to stick it in the hole. He's going to ground it. Hang on, before you ground it though, let me grab a light here. What do I do with that light? So you can see inside. All right, go ahead and ground it. Keep holding it. So watch the gauge. You can see the gauge moving. Keep holding it. We're taking that to ground. A full tank right there. Unground it. Let go, and then it'll go back to empty. That tells me the wire integrity, the gauge is working, everything. The only thing left is a sending unit, but it has a new sending unit. So we're going to go ahead and take a look. Maybe there's nothing wrong with this fuel gauge at all. So when we plug it back in, it'll show about a quarter tank when it settles out here. All right, so I plugged the sending unit back in. The ground on this gas tank's grounded through the frame, the chassis. If you go back up here, I think it shows about a quarter tank, roughly. Yeah. A little bit less than a quarter, actually. So what we're going to do now is check the resistance of the actual sending unit, even though it's new. So 10 ohms would be full, 60 ohms would be empty. So we should have, I don't know, 55, 57 ohms, because according to that gauge anyways, that's what we'd have. So let's take a look at that. All right, so he's going to put the positive there. I'm just going to go to chassis ground here. Black on chassis ground, red. Once we get a reading here. I don't think you're in all the way. Make sure you get it.
What am I on?
Sorry, we had to hit in the wrong hole. We already did that check. We don't need to do that check. We're going to put the black here and your red on the actual sending unit. So he's going to red on the stud for the sending unit and ground there. And we got 52.6 ohms. So that tells me that this gas tank doesn't have much gas in it, which tells me the sending unit's good. I mean, the only other thing you could do is fill it up and make sure that thing goes up. The wire integrity is good, and the voltage regulator and instrument cluster is good, and the gauge in the dash is good. So the only thing we can do now, since it is a new sending unit, is put gas in it. Maybe when the gas is being put in, it wouldn't take gas. Maybe it wasn't venting correctly or something, but it has a new tank now. So we'll put gas in and take a look. But I believe there's nothing wrong with it, but that's how you check an old Ford system, fuel level or fuel indication system. So that'll be it for this vehicle for now. All right, so we put some gas in. We put the ethanol-free gas in. Took 11.5 gallons almost. And if you look at the gas gauge, it's almost completely full. So we're pretty much full. It shut off. I think it shut off a couple times, and I had to redo the pump. The reason is I think when it gets so that pumps really excessively fast. I don't think there's no air, or it takes a while for that air to displacement to go out. So everything's reading accordingly. The gas gauge is good. Everything's good. I just think I mean, obviously everything's good. The gauge is good. The wiring's good. The voltage regulator is good. The sending unit's good. It's just when it pumps really fast, it shuts off, and then you may think that it's actually full, but it's actually not. It's just you need somewhere that air to go. You know, it's an older car. It's just got a vent all through the same tube. It's not an actual separate vent tube on these gas tanks. So that is it for this vehicle for now. Now we'll just go check fluids, go over some other stuff with it. Got to do some stuff to the carburetor. I'm sure there'll be other little things we're going to find with it we need to do, and we'll go from there. But that'll be it for now for this video. There's some other stuff we got to do in this car. And so we're going to check fluids with this radiator here. These bolts up here, nuts and bolts are loose. See the one down there? It's not even touching the lock washer. So we got to tighten all those up. Do some more work on the engine. Get it running a little bit better because it's got a dead spot. Or not a dead spot, but it basically falls on its face when you accelerate, when you get on the gas a little bit. Already talked about ball joints. But these tires are dry rotted bad. So if you look here, look at that one separating right there, bad. So yeah, they definitely need tires. They're just old, dried out tires. All four of them. That one seemed to be the worst, the left rear. But this is the right rear, which this one's pretty bad too. So definitely needs tires. Let's look at the fronts. I don't think the fronts are not nearly as bad. Fronts actually don't have any cracks in them at all. Definitely need rear tires. I wouldn't want to drive it like that too much. Just slowly around town, just so I can get new tires, get ball joints and get an alignment and get all this done. So a few more things to do on this 1967 Ford Mustang.